Good morning from the land of construction. What the hell, Santa Fe? Anyway, all the off-ramps are blocked and there's construction down here and all this good stuff. It's hot. It is about 10:15 a.m. I have to go to the National Guard Armory and go pick up an ID card. So I need to go on base or post. Is it a post? I have to check. But anyway, it's right like 20 minutes down the road, which is nice. I don't have to go all the way to Albuquerque or to Kirtland Air Force Base down there, which is like over an hour away. But anyway, so after this, I'm just going to go run some errands and then go back and rest and relax. My neck hurts. My neck still hurts. I realized I probably haven't filmed for a couple days, probably a week, I don't know, because my little camera holder kept melting off the dashboard. And so between New Mexico and Texas, it's hot in the summer, so I wasn't staying. So now you're secure and I can talk to you while I look at the road and you look at me. Who knew? Anyway, hopefully this off-ramp is not closed up here. That would be very unhelpful. But yes, I'm just going to do that and then just kind of lay low. It's Friday. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. It's the weekend. You know, like there's a lot of homeless people here. So it's so hot I have to wear my driving gloves so I don't get like wrinkles in my hands. So I'm very protective of my skin. I'm like, okay, cover my neck, you know, that kind of thing. Drive like this. Yeah, so the homeless people in Santa Fe, there's a lot of them. And they are very creative with their signs. This guy's got a massive sign. He even has like, you can't really see, I'm not gonna like film him right now, but he's even got little holes in the sign for his hands to go so he can hold the sign up without like having to grip the side of the sign. So that's a smart way to do it. Like make little finger holes, like my gloves have fingers, like fingerless gloves. But anyway, so yeah, beautiful day though. I wish I could do stuff, but I'm hurting. So can't really do much. I mean, I could, you know, skate in a circle at the rink, but I can't do spins and jumps, so everything is modified. So it's not like, oh, I'm riding a bike. Well, I'm riding a bike. I don't use e-bikes, but I'm riding a bike on a trail that is easy and not a trail that's going to snap my spine in half. The same with skating. Like when I lived in Japan, I skated all the time and I could do jumps and spins and all that good stuff. Like 25 years ago, but then now I can just like glide. I can glide in a circle without actually lifting my feet off the ground, but definitely can't do any jumps or anything that requires smacking your toe pick into the ice to propel yourself up and landing. So I just, you know, take it easy. I just kind of do cardio more than anything, just to enjoy the cold weather. But yeah, the skating club here actually invited me to join. So we had an issue, which is probably why I haven't really done anything on camera for a week or so, or 2 weeks. But we had an issue with a skater, this old guy, and I was skating like 2 weeks ago, and he slams into me, like just from behind, just bashes into me. And I'm like, dude, so I was trying to help this little girl that was on the, this little girl like couldn't get off the wall. Like she was on this little school trip, because they have school trips in the summer. She was on a school trip and she couldn't like get herself out of the wall. And she was having, you know, frustrated and like really just not happy. And so I was like trying to help her. And then this old guy just comes up and just rams my shoulder from behind. I was like, ow, it's like, that's my bad injured shoulder. What the hell? So I disengaged immediately because he came back around, started yelling at me for no reason. So I disengaged. I faced the wall. I told the little girl, like, face the wall. So two of us faced the wall so that, you know, we weren't going to, like, again, engage with this guy. And I just wanted him to just leave me alone. So the little girl was crying. I helped her off the ice. And then one of the coaches came over and told the employee that the guy was scaring the little girls. And I'm like, I'd never seen this guy before in my life. And I will not tolerate abuse or bullying or any of that stuff. So, sorry, it's very hazy right now. Anyway, back to me. Yeah, so he did that. And then, so then I was done anyway. I was 5 minutes away from being done. So then I end up, sorry, where'd that come from? 18-wheeler. So then I end up what is it? Yeah, so short story long, I get off the ice anyway, and so then the employee goes, well, we need you to write an incident report. And I'm like, I don't need to write an incident report. Like, I'm okay. Like, this guy just needs to calm down, leave me alone. And so then the employee says to the other employee, like, to each other, they're like, is this the 5th or the 6th incident report that this guy's had? I'm like, oh, now I'm going to do an incident report. I'm like, you mean to tell me this guy previously has assaulted verbally and physically the skaters, especially children? And they said, yeah, we've had problems with him for like 2 years or something. And I was like, not only why is he skating, but why is he allowed back on the ice after shoving into me and screaming at this little girl, making a little kid cry? I can stand up for myself. This little girl was upset. Oh my God. So then he goes, so I fill out the incident report, and then I go ahead and I go, you know, on my way. And so I start doing a background check on this guy, and I found out that he's got restraining orders on him from local business owners for physical and verbal assault and stalking and harassment, where this guy actually went and emailed other employees of this other guy's company. And so as recently as like 2023, he had restraining orders on him. And then I find out that he had been writing letters to the city to basically let him skate, even though he's been written up 6 times. And then the coaches are like, yeah, he like scares my kids and he's yelled at my kid. And like some other parents were like, yeah, we pulled our kid out of skating because this guy was always there and he was shoving into people. This guy has no control of his skates. He only skates on the edge. So he's not the owner of the edge of the rink. Like, if you need to hold on to the wall or you just want to go over to the edge, that's fine. But the reason he bumped into me was because I was going over to the edge to go help this little girl that couldn't like let go of the wall. Oh my God. And so I kept finding out that there was like dozens of people that had been shoved into by this guy. So I wrote to one of the coaches, said you need to escalate it to like the communications manager. So I escalated it to the mayor's office, and it was basically like, well, we're just gonna have a meeting with him. I was like, that's not okay. He should have been removed immediately. We're not. So 3 weeks later, this was 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks later, 2 days ago, on Thursday, it's Friday now, so Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, well, I don't know, it was one of these days. I think it was Wednesday. I get a call from the recreation person who had this meeting, and they've suspended the guy. But I'm like, why did I have to escalate it all the way to the mayor's office? And why did it take 3 weeks? Actually 3 years and 3 weeks to deal with this guy. Like, how can you allow anybody to bully kids, assault kids, felony assault? You run into a kid deliberately, come back around and scream at the kid. And we have the rink has disabled students. Like, there's some students with Down syndrome and some autistic students and other students that have mobility disabilities. And then you have a lot of public skaters that just hang on to the wall. Like, they're on the figure it out skates and they are not letting go of that side of the fence. But then you have the students doing the lessons. And, you know, I was like, okay, I would have been like just gone on with my day. You know, people, you know, get angry and stuff. But I think the city in a whole kind of appeases the older community, and that we don't want to agitate the old community, right? Because the old community is valuable to Santa Fe. It's an older community. Doesn't matter. Felony is a felony. Like, assault is assault. Doesn't matter where you live or how affluent or elderly the neighborhood is. You don't get to beat up a kid. So anyway, now I'm back into not hazy. Yeah, I don't know. The sun's always in the wrong place when I'm driving down the 25. Thankfully the exit was open, so it only took me like 10 minutes to get down here. But anyway, so yeah, so I don't tolerate that. I will stand up. I will, you know, I don't care if I get banned from a restaurant for standing up for bullying, and they're like, well, ma'am, like, you need to like stay in your lane. I'm like, I'm sticking up for the people that need to be stuck up for. Like, I will defend the innocent parties, and I will speak out against bullies. Like, do not bully kids. Do not touch anybody that you don't know, and don't shove people. I mean, I've broken my arm on the ice rink 3 times in my life, and I've had a concussion on the ice rink like 12 years ago. Like, I know how it feels. feels when you hit that ice. It's like hitting concrete a million times over. So I just don't tolerate it. So but they did the right thing eventually, suspended him. They won't tell me how long he's suspended, which is kind of like, you know, I guess I can't win every battle, but yeah, I don't know how long he's suspended, but he wasn't there yesterday when I popped over there just to kind of glide around for an hour, just to, because, you know, I still got to move my body, and I just can't move my neck. I can't look that way. Like I can move my torso, but I can't like do the exorcist and like, you know, arch my head all the way around, if that's the right phrase. But anyway, so yeah, so they, you know, they did eventually come through, but I was so worried that I would have to never go back there again. And when you're a survivor of domestic assault and you know, intimate partner violence and things like that, your world is also like already pretty small. So when your world becomes smaller because somebody can't manage their anger, it's a really big deal. So I just want to make sure that the world is safe for everybody, and I will speak up. I don't care if somebody gets mad at me, you know, or the guy that I'm speaking up about gets mad at me. I'm like, your opinion does not matter in this conversation. You shoved into me, you shoved into this kid, you yelled at a kid, you made a kid cry, and you've done this to dozens of people. And then yesterday, one of the coaches came up to me and said, just kind of quietly was like, thank you so much for accomplishing what we have been trying to do for years. And I'm a freaking hero. So now the skating club wants me to join. So I was like, okay, that's great. You know, I don't need a pat on the back or accolades. I just need this guy to leave me the hell alone. And even telling him to like not talk to people, it was the fact that he was there that was giving this air of fear, because this other girl, she's like probably in her 20s, adult skater, and she's really nice, and she was like, we're talking about like adaptive sports and skiing and snowboarding and stuff, and then she goes, she's like, yeah, like that guy's not like right in the head, like he's just got some weird demeanor about him. And she goes, I'm more worried about avoiding him than I am about concentrating on my form and my skating. And I said, we can't live this way, especially as women. You can't walk around having to look over your shoulder. I can't even look over my shoulder because my neck is busted. But like, we shouldn't have to, you know, see, this is all most I can do is turn my whole torso, and even that hurts. But we shouldn't have to like make our world smaller because nobody's getting rid of the bad seeds. It just doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. It's unfair, and it's, in a way, it's a kind of a weird ableism in that, okay, you're going to let the abusive guy come here because he knows a friend of a friend, or he knows somebody in City Hall, but at the expense of people quitting skating. I mean, that's just, it was bad enough when Harriet, my daughter, was skating when she was little, and she was like 4 or 5. She had a little friend who was, some of her friends were a little bit older. They're 8 or 9 or 10 years old. And there was this really, really cool girl named Meredith, and she was one of Harriet's little skater friends, and she had to leave skating because her parents got divorced. And I was so sad because she was even showing me how to do some of the like moves and spins and things, like, you know, almost 10 years ago. But there were so many of the students at the rink in Houston that, for whatever reason, finances or parents divorced, or they moved away, or they were oil and gas and they got transferred, that they ended up like having to quit skating. That was the expense of it, was that, well, because my parents can't make good decisions, you know, or because work is sending my whole family somewhere else, the kid suffers. And during COVID we stopped skating, and other reasons, you know, dealing with my family stuff, my daughter doesn't skate anymore. And so I can't bear the thought that what is this going to do for these girls that are becoming strong, independent human beings and learning skills and teamwork and learning to be okay when you fall down. What is it teaching them if the authorities are saying, oh, we're going to let this guy that hit you, we're going to let him continue skating? It's like Gen X. We have no trust in authority because our parents were divorced. We were latchkey kids. We had to pay for college ourselves. We ended up starting our own companies and becoming our own bosses because we couldn't trust, you know, the older generation to do the right thing. And now we have to take care of our parents and our kids at the same time. It kind of sucks. So what are you teaching to these children if you're going to allow somebody that did this to someone or to dozens of people? You're allowing them to have fun, and I don't even know if it's fun for the guy, he seems pretty grumpy, but like, you're allowing them to have fun and participate, while everyone that wants to have fun and participate has to make a decision. Am I going to put myself in a traumatic, potentially abusive situation in order to participate in life, or am I going to quit? And no one that's ever been physically or verbally assaulted by somebody should have to be in that position of, I have to choose between traumatizing myself by being around my abuser or the person that assaulted me, or quitting completely and my world gets smaller. These kids are like 9 years old. So I'm hoping that this is a lesson to the city, that you can't just let something like this go on for 3 years. And who knows the trauma that is inflicted on these kids and the adults too. You know, when every single person says that they've had a problem with this guy, the problem is the guy. Anyway, so I'm at the armory. Let me see if I can get in. I've got an appointment. Not entirely sure I need to go. I can get on because I've got other IDs that allow me onto the base, but because, you know, I'm fancy like that. But yeah, private property, New Mexico Army National Guard. Okay, I'm going to stop recording and get through here. All right, that's done. That only took like 20 minutes, not even. So actually, right now is my appointment, but I got there early. So always get your appointments early. On Fridays, the DEERS office, which is, I don't know what DEERS, I'll put on the screen what DEERS stands for, but it's the Rapids or DEERS office. But they're only open by appointment on Fridays. There's also like Rio Rancho has an office, and then Kirtland Air Force Base. But honestly, if you are in the Albuquerque or Santa Fe area and you need to go get anything for you know, IDs and stuff, even if you work for Department of Defense or anything like that, come to the National Guard Armory over in Santa Fe. It's a lot quicker. So that said, I'm going to go down to the mechanic and go check on Prudence and get some more things out. I want to get some of my camping gear. I think my friend and I are going to probably try to do an overnight camping trip at some point, since the weather, it's hot here at like 6,900 feet, but up in those mountains, when you get up to like 9,000 feet, it's nice. It's like perfect. It's not even raining. So I think we're going to try to do like a 2-day camping trip maybe, and somewhere that's not too far to hike in. Or maybe like find a state park or something, I don't know. But there's so much BLM around here, you don't even have to go to state park. I need to get a state park ID for New Mexico. But I spend so much time in the BLM that I've never really, I think I've only been to like the state parks down by like Carlsbad Canyon, I can't speak, Carlsbad Caverns. I think that's the only place that I've actually been to some of the state parks down there, and they're quite nice. But I don't think I've been to any up in this part. They're all kind of like lakes or like not a lot going on. The Hyde Park State Park is what you drive through every time to get to the ski valley where I would boondock in Prudence if I had a van. And that is really just along the road. This doesn't really go into the mountain area. You just kind of camp along the road. And there's no cell reception, so I might as well go to the top of the ski valley in the summer where I have 5G. Okay, so there's the thing here. Let's go in and go to the van hospital. I just come here right before lunch. I'm like, help me. He sees me. He's hiding. He's like, it's her again. No. Anyway, it's Prue. I'm gonna grab some stuff. Okay, let's go in. As everyone's coming from lunch. I was like, I hope I never see you again after you fixed my van the first time. Okay.